The devil. The devil again. Narrated by Jesse Levine. Good evening, everyone. This is your host, Jess, and I had the pleasure of actually starting to, play through Elden Ring again, and, man, a lot of people say the game is extremely difficult, and I honestly just don't see it. I don't see how Elden Ring is really that difficult of a game. I mean, I've been playing through it. I've been having a blast. I haven't died to a singular boss once. I've been blasting through people. It's been a very, very fun time. So what I think the problem is with people thinking Elden Ring is difficult is, a mental block of some kind. We think the game is difficult, but there's something in the way that keeps you from understanding how to truly see how easy the game is. Now, I have been gracious enough from my time playing Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Elden Souls 69, to understand the deep complexity of difficulty in Souls-like games. So you're probably curious as to why I said it was a mental block instead of something like, say, your items, things you're using, your weapons, magic, things of that nature. Oh, maybe looking for something broken, maybe using your spirit summons, blah, 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 blah. Why, yes, Elden Ring does offer you a wide array of tools at your disposal, but there is a big problem with it. So even throughout Dark Souls and all that franchise, the problem with it is you think that you need these things. You think that these will make your game easier. You think that once you get A, you will get B, and once you get B, you get C, and once you get C, you get ring. And what is there? 2 Elden Rings, because, I looked at the symbol. It says Elden Ring, but there are 3 rings on there, so it doesn't make any sense. I'm still confused on the steps myself. You see, I haven't perfected it either. A lot of players miss a crucial step in order to understand how to really play in a Souls-like game. It's not just about learning what the boss does. It's not just about figuring out how to be better at the game. It's not about getting levels to become stronger. It's about seeing that all of that is meaningless. Levels, power, magic, light rolling, medium rolling, heavy armor, big sword. It's all meaningless and futile at the end of the day. Because, as we know from Buddhism, material objects do nothing for you. They are something that you need to get rid of. And Elden Ring embodies this immensely because players think they need all of this stuff in order to finally achieve victory, even though they're going to get beaten up in 2 shots anyway, because, it doesn't really matter. They have, the AK-47 on hand. So even with all that stuff, you're like, how do I keep losing? It doesn't make any sense. And that's where the difficulty comes from. These attachments, these materials, they make the game more difficult for you in the long run. Magic, getting more magic spells, it makes the game more difficult because you're cheating yourself out of the real world experience. I mean, think about it. You've upgraded items in Elden Ring, and the game is still extremely hard. You found new armor. You found new magic. You found... what else did you find? What else is there in Elden Ring? Random stuff you're not going to use at all. Horse food. A guy who's going to summon a giant storm of skulls and then obliterate you in, 1 hit. Yeah, that guy's there, too. And it's made no difference. I've really only described that having these things make it more difficult, but how exactly does having these things make it more difficult? So, there actually is a piece of code in the game which says, as you acquire certain items, the game actually keeps the difficulty at almost what's that angle in a chart that goes straight up and it doesn't plateau? Oh yeah, an upward slope. I know mathematics. The difficulty will keep going up like that. Even though you're bringing your character up higher and higher, the game will not recognize it as so. So you will still be beaten up really quickly, die instantly, get your balls ripped out of your bollocks. It is all a part of the code. Now that is kind of the big thing, because you think I'm leveling up in Elden Ring. Oh, the starting area starts to become a bit easier. Then you start to hit a bit more of that late game spike, and you're like, yeah, it takes all of that in account because that slope has still been going up as you've been acquiring all this equipment. And, you know, if you've been playing Elden Ring and just running around all willy-nilly grabbing things, yeah, your spike is going to be a little bit, how may I say, a lot worse than people who've kind of just gone in a very straightforward path and have, like, barely anything at all. It is an interesting design choice to have the difficulty scale in this way, instead of having, like, certain things, you know, be a little bit different as you go into them, you know, maybe, like, adjust some enemies as, like, you get to certain areas, you know, like, nah, that's stupid. That's a really dumb thing. That Miyazaki would never want that in, like, any kind of, like, Dark Souls, Elden Ring type game. But the game encourages you to go around and find all of these items. It's an open world game. The world is your oyster. There's a comment that points at stuff, but it's an evil comment and it lies to you. But there's so much stuff around for you to gather. So of course you have to go around doing every single thing that you can find, right? So why does the game encourage that? And why does that increase the difficulty? Well, that's actually a spoiler for the Elden Ring storyline. The reason why it is all part of that storyline, you know, like, you're gonna have to watch in, like, a YouTube breakdown, like, at some point later. I mean, like, I didn't get it either. I had to watch, like, 8 hours worth of, like, YouTube videos to understand, like, the Elden Ring lore, and I'm like, oh, that's why I acquire stuff and I feel like I'm still getting my balls ripped off. Oh! That's also very sad and tragic, and I'm like, man, thank you, random YouTubers, for spending, like, 18 hours, like, researching into that. Thank you. You've made my 3 AM much more bearable. And so, because of Elden Ring lore, that is why acquiring a bunch of items and things of that nature really just makes the game more difficult. It says a lot about our greed as people, and as we try to acquire more and more, we just can't keep sustaining it until eventually we just destroy ourselves on the inside. But you might be wondering, rings are circles, like they have like a giant open hole in them. There's like nothing in them. Exactly. That's why it's Elden Ring, because there's nothing in the middle of the circle. You see, it's hollow. Like Dark Souls 2. You see, it all connects. It all connects back. You see, it all connects back. That's exactly what this is. And that's just determined the difficulty in, like, all of these games. It all just connects back. This is just the ultimate culmination of that entire thing now. With that being said, so not acquiring items makes Elden Ring less difficult. No. It doesn't increase the difficulty. I was like, I didn't say, like, it gets, like, less difficult. It's like, that'd be stupid. Like, why would you want the game to be less difficult? Like, that's not funny. So if you don't really collect items, upgrade things of that nature, you know, do things like only heavy roll, like don't summon anyone, only use your fists, like things of that nature, the game will keep the difficulty spike from going like straight up in a line in that slope. Like, don't upgrade your healing, don't use certain items to boost yourself, like don't go to like NPCs, don't talk with like anyone from the round table, and the game will not increase its difficulty for you. So overall, it feels like a bit of a more bearable experience overall, because like I said, Elden Ring's connection to Buddhism really makes a lot of sense once you really watch like an Elden Ring lore breakdown video about like Elden Ring Buddhism, like 10-hour edition, you know? It's not to say that life is easy. Life is still difficult, even though we give up materials, but by not having materials, we don't make things more difficult for ourselves. And so when you start to get to some of those like late game bosses, like the early game, I mean, it's like, you're fine, you'll do fine, you'll be fine. So when you get to those late game areas, the big kicker here is that instead of getting like, say, like 2-shot or stuck in a combo, you get stunned and then instantly die, you're gonna be able to take one more hit. And doesn't that just make the game like so much more bearable, you know? You get to take one more hit. It changes the whole game. Trust me. Like, it sounds stupid. It sounds stupid. But taking one more hit completely changes the game. Completely changes it. The experience, how it feels. It doesn't feel like that if you get stuck in like some sort of like bullshit mechanic that you're going to be punished as heavily. Instead, you feel like, man, this is a good brawl, you know? And isn't that what you want to do the whole time in Elden Ring? Have a great brawl while still being able to experience overcoming some stupid crap that's thrown in your way, like a guy who summons a bunch of like giant skulls. above you and then has like an earthquake attack that you can't dodge at all, but you could probably block with a shield, but I'm not running a shield because I'm like, that wasn't like what my build does. It is an absolute game changer. But the thing is, it's not made obvious to you. You have to actively fight against the game to do this. You give up on weapons, things of that nature. You just don't have as much utility. But in sacrificing that utility, you begin to understand what it is to be human. You understand life. And with that lesson that you understand now, the game does not spike its difficulty for you. So you're still able to realize, as a human, I can overcome this difficulty. And I understand that if I put my mind to something, I will always overcome it. Now, the only conundrum with that is it actually doesn't work against every boss if you actually do this. So, in fact, if you actually do that style, you know, get those big heavy rolls in, you know, only use your fist, only punch people, don't summon anyone. So I forgot to mention this. There is still like a difficulty spike. So yeah, so the only problem is because you didn't spend a bunch of upgrades on your horse torrent, so you're going to end up in a giant horse race across the entire United States. And the problem is, because you didn't get all the speed upgrades, you're always going to lose. So, like, the problem is with that is earlier in the game, before you get to that big horse race at the end of the game, you end up getting locked out of using any runes because it's like, that's just, I mean, the game understands that you're doing this very interesting build. And, you know, trying to learn a big life lesson, things of that nature, really understanding what it means to be human and to drive. But, yeah, it's not the same for horses. So you end up losing the horse race. You end up losing all of your money. And so you can't really, like, go back and be like, oh, I can upgrade my horse now. Like, it takes everything. You lose everything in the horse race because it's like, secretly, it's actually like gambling. So it's like, you don't get everything. And that tells you that you shouldn't have started the horse race in the first place. That's actually a spoil. Oh, I'm sorry for spoiling that. I just spoiled Elden. I just made it way too easy for y'all. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm so sorry.